This conversation is something that this conversation I've never had before in all the live sessions that I've done so far, and this is something that I can't talk enough about. So allow me to welcome Tanya Khanna. She is the founder of Epistle Communications, and she has been doing an amazing job in spreading awareness about this topic as to why creating a brand is important for architects and designers. And she's been doing this through her online campaign, which is Epistle OPD, which is helping, she and her team are helping people who are practicing architects and designers, and she's helping them run businesses, that too for free. Welcome to this live session, Tanya.
Thank you so much. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me here. Like you said, I cannot have enough of talking about this. So, but yeah, I think especially in India, architects and designers, there's not that much conversation about this subject. So it helps that we all talk about it, and we all are struggling with it anyways. So the more we talk, the more we learn, and the more we imbibe, and we sort of, it helps our work.
Right, absolutely. So, if I talk about the very basics, how would you define brand for architects and designers?
So traditionally, in India particularly, architects and designers shy away from the word brand itself. Anything to do with branding, marketing, or outreach or visibility, architects really sort of, we don't talk about this. I mean, you're an architect, I'm an architect.
Right.
We're literally taught not to use these
Not to,
words.
yeah.
And there are enough mandatory sort of rules and guidelines that say that, you're not supposed, as a professional code of ethics, you should not be
Hmm.
doing it. But
Hmm.
what happens
Let's
is,
just let your work talk. Don't talk.
yeah, yeah, let your work talk. But what happens
Right.
is that in today's context, when there is so much information out there, there's a plethora of information. From a time where we had maybe three architecture colleges, we now have like 5,000. And the number of students graduates, there's just so much happening that we need to distinguish ourselves and our firms or studios, no matter how big or small they are, from the others. So in that context, branding becomes really, really important. So if you can identify what is it, who you are, what you do, and why it is different from another person, uh, that's another architect or another designer, that is what makes a brand. Right? Only then can you be a brand. If you're just one amongst the crowd, then you're not a
Hmm.
brand, right? The whole idea
Hmm.
of branding is to distinguish yourself
Distinguisher.
and create an identity for yourself.
Hmm. Right. So, for a young designer or a young architect who has just started practicing, when is the right time for them to create a brand? Is it when they start, or is it when they have created a decent portfolio for themselves?
So what happens is that one must start as early as possible. That goes without saying. That one should start while they're still a student, right? Because your portfolio, you're constantly building a portfolio. It's not like after 5 years you will then start making a portfolio. In fact, that's a challenge. Most often when students finish their thesis or they have to apply for an internship, that's when they start. And then they think, oh my God, I can't find. I mean, today it's still digital, right? But the time when I graduated, you had to find your sheets, you had to scan them, and you had to send. And abroad, if you're applying for a job abroad or applying for postgraduate studies abroad, they say not more than 10 sheets. So, what do you put in those 10 sheets, right? Or a file on more than 10 MB. So, what? And I remember when I was applying for a job in London, we were allowed 10 A4s. That's it. 10
Hmm.
A4s to cover maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years of your journey as an architect. So it is important to start documenting all your content to build a brand right from day one. And I think that really sort of, it cannot go wrong. But of course, as you slowly, and when you start practicing, is really when you start focusing your energy on what is it that you want to be known for. What is it that when we say who you are and what you do, right? That process really starts after 5 years, after you worked a little bit. I mean, of course, there are people who start practice right after they graduate, and we've had some great, precedents around where we know, okay, this really works. Most people do work for a few years, get some experience, make a tangible portfolio, and then they figure out that, okay, I want to do this, whether it is landscape or residential design or commercial design or even design and build. That's a big sort of market right now. Right? So a lot of whatever it is that you want to be known for, you start documenting and creating your content to push that out as a brand. And that process is, and especially today when everything is connected digitally, you need to start sooner rather than later. We have a lot of firms who come to us and say, okay, now we start Instagram and now we start LinkedIn. And we're like, Instagram days are over and Facebook days are already over. Now it's time for brands and for products. It's time for TikTok. So you should maybe go. And there's always something new happening. So the sooner you start, the better it is.
Right. So, brand has everything to do with who I am, what are my beliefs, and what are my values, and how do I look at things differently. So, while I am networking with potential clients or customers, or while I am meeting my future client for the very first time, and I kind of have this mindset to seal the deal in the very first meeting. So, how do I convey that brand message?
It is, see, first of all, it is important to walk into the meeting knowing who you are, right? If you know who you are, that honesty comes through. When you meet somebody, if you're pretending to be something, that won't come through. It may seal the deal, like you said, but in the long run, it won't get you repeat work. It won't lead to a successful project. Most people, most clients, when they hire an architect, especially to do homes or offices, they really want somebody who can resonate with their values, right? Who they have a comfortable connection with. Because at the end of the day, it's their home. The architect can come in and say, you know what, I'll give you a house that will make you live like this. But the architect cannot change the way they live. So it is important to be very, very honest. And I think starting with that, then obviously making sure that, especially when you meet somebody for the first time, it is important to build credibility. So whatever whether it's an email that you send out the first time, right? Somebody sends you a query and they say, can I see your work before we meet? Especially in times of social distancing, nobody's going to meet you. People are going to avoid meetings as much as possible, right? So if you're sending an email to somebody or you're sending a PDF of a collection of works or a preview or sneak peek into your portfolio, or you redirect, all of that messaging has to tie in with your brand identity. So it is important that your portfolio is in black. I mean, I'm going very literal right now. If your portfolio is in black and white, right? Those are the colors that you use in your logo, in your brand logo, and the same thing needs to be visible on the website. So that because you're sending a website link to the person on WhatsApp, and they open it, they suddenly feel like, oh, they're two different phones. And where is the project that I saw, and that's, I think, a mistake that we all tend to make. Because we're designers, we design everything from, right? We'll design a portfolio separately, we'll design a website separately, we'll design our PDF separately, we'll design our Instagram separately. Everything is designer, and it doesn't need to be. As a brand, you need to be consistent. A lot of our clients as well, and especially even with the team, we constantly discuss. A very good reference for architects and designers is retail design, right? You see an H&M logo and you see a Zara logo, right? You recognize it no matter where you are.
Right.
A McDonald's logo also you recognize from whatever part of the world you are in. So that is the recall that one needs, and you know what Zara stands for, you know what H&M stands for, right? If there is H&M conscious collection, you know that there is a conscious collection. Anybody who's an H&M follower will know that. And I'm taking like a very common example here. Or even when it comes to foods, right? The more popular, like Anita is known for their hot chocolate fudge, right? So so if your strength If your portfolio is about residential work, let it be about residential work. Don't
Absolutely.
pretend, don't make it pretend to be about parametric design or something that if your work is all architecture should be sustainable
Hmm.
intrinsically, right? All architecture. So
Obviously.
if you're making claims about your projects being sustainable, whereas you can't demonstrate it, there's no point in saying it. So be honest to who you are and just communicate those values as a brand. I mean, I've seen
It's important to
the
pick a niche.
yeah,
It's
I've
important
seen
to pick a niche,
the
yeah.
largest international firms. They have really simple taglines. We help you live better through
Yeah.
our building, through the buildings that we create. I mean, that is
And
just
that
such a
message is delivering to the users who can
yeah,
easily understand. Yeah,
yeah. It's not in some
exactly.
complicated language that nobody understands. Nobody's going to open a
Mm.
dictionary because
Mm.
your target client, yes, your clients are informed today thanks to Pinterest, thanks to Instagram, but make it universal. So when you meet a client, present your work, present limited amount of but talk about what you have added and what value you have added there. Why is it that it is your project and not an XYZ firm's project? You know, firms that do interior works, they really struggle because there's so much work, but what is it that we want to put out? We don't know, right? Pick 6 projects, tie them up with the same thread. That's what is important.
Right.
That is your brand language. There are
Yeah.
these 5. I mean, in fact, a lot of times we like we do this exercise where we say, you don't give us drawings, you don't give us images. You pick 5 words that represent your firm. That is your brand. Makes
Mm.
your brand. And that message should go out everywhere, whether it's on a WhatsApp or on an email or a phone call, even when you talk. Like today, I am talking to you. There are 2 or 3 things that I'm sure I'll be repeating through the conversation because that is what makes
That's
our brand. That's what we are
right.
trying.
Right. Right. So, when we talk about tier two and tier three cities, there are a lot of young practitioners who are practicing in tier two and tier three cities. So, supposedly, I am one of them, which I am basically. So, how do I spread my word out there? How do I network with all these people? Because things are very different from metro cities when we talk about tier two and tier three cities. So, what is the ideal way to let people know that a brand exists in their city and I'm the right person for them?
There are multiple things you can do. Okay, one is that it's never enough to just do any one thing. You have to cover ground everywhere, right? So I think the first thing that one should do is let people know that you are practicing and your studio is thriving and you're available for work. The thing that the architects don't do is tell people that, you know what, because oh my God, it's so embarrassing to say that I actually, this is what I do. So let you start with your friends and family and extended network and let them know what is it that you do. And I can tell you till date, I think I'm sure there's a percentage of my extended family that does not know what I do because we are just not trained to do that. And because I do something that is not even mainstream, there are people who will call me and say, Beta, can you design this small office for me? And I'm like, I don't practice. I am an architect, but I don't practice. So it is important. Your projects will always come through referrals and word of mouth. PR and social media and everything will only bring visibility. It will bring
Hmm.
credibility. But the first thing is that people should know that you do this. So it is
Hmm.
okay to go for a party and talk about work. As Indians, we are also not trained to do that, right? There is a work life and there is a personal life, and that's it.
Right.
So we don't talk about. It is okay to meet somebody, go for a wedding, do whatever, wherever you are. I mean, right now nobody's meeting, but if you're talking and you're on social media, talk interesting your work is, what is it that you do, and you don't have to go and say that okay, here is my plate and offer me projects, but there is, I mean, you can be subtle about it. You can just let people know that this is what you're doing currently. If there's an interesting project, I think designing a terrace room can be the most interesting project. And it's okay to
Right.
share that with people because that is how you start, right? And what is important is that you talk about the innovation in the project. What is the big USP of that project? Why is that project special? Why is it that another project should come to you because obviously you are adding some value to that project. So as a brand, you put out the USPs of your portfolio, the USP of what is it that distinguishes you, what is it that makes the project yours. As much as the project is the client's, it's also yours. And as young professionals, I think the closer we get to our projects, the better. Starting with,
Right.
like I said, talking about your work, social media, don't start too late. It's not easy for anybody. I understand that. I was not active on social media for the longest time. But like about a year back, I made my account public. It was a big thing to do for me, because I had my kids' photographs, I had some personal stuff. But I said, okay, it's fine, right? It's if you want to engage with an audience, right? If you want the people should find you, how will they find you if you're hidden somewhere? And I think today's conference brings this to the forefront that, in times of social distancing, how will people find you? Maybe 3 years, 5 years back, you could get away by not having a website. But today you need to have a website. So yes, you may not be able to afford a big, fancy, complicated developer to get a website done for yourself, but make a single web page. We are designers. We
Hmm.
are instinctively creative. We can come up with anything. So have a web
Right.
page so that when somebody asks you, you're not struggling to find content. You can just send them something. Send them a link or send them an Instagram feed. There are enough businesses who run off Instagram, right? So it's okay. You just start creating an Instagram feed and of your portfolio. And again, be selective about your content. Don't just dump everything. Whatever is pertinent to what you do should go out.
I think
I don't know if
another
that helps.
No, I think this is gonna help. So another important aspect of building a brand is documenting your work. Like once you've done a few projects, so documenting your work via photography and writing. And this is something that is overlooked. So in my opinion, I think if a potential client is landing on my website or on my Instagram page and he goes through my projects and he's also reading that caption, whatever write-up I have to explain what is going on. And let's say if he didn't like the project, but then after reading that caption, he's suddenly going to look at this differently because suddenly he understood what kind of process he went through, what kind of constraints we had, and that person will also understand what the process we follow in our firm. So, what is your opinion on this about documenting work?
So actually, documenting is the most important aspect. In fact, when we talk to people and other firms and our clients or prospective clients, we actually tell them that we are not. People say, "Oh, you're a PR agency." No, we create content, and what we actually really love to do is create content because that is the start point of everything, right? The way you curate 5 or 10 photographs for a project, even if they're phone shot. The way you write 500 words for your project, that is what defines who you are. That is what people see in the public domain. Tool for visibility, whether it's PR or social media or newsletters. I mean, there's so many tools available. They're just tools. They can only do what. I mean, at the end of the day, even a media person will say, but okay, what is the story? I still need the story, right? Why is this project special? And so forth. But they will feature you if you know what is the story. The media people, the journalists they also want stories, right? What they want is nice looking visuals. They want a well written piece of text. Well written does not mean complicated piece of text. It just means a well written, which is grammatically correct. It's making sense, not very long sentences. A crisp to the point write up. Architects believe, oh no, we shouldn't write about our work. So, there is that challenge. So if a media person wants something, let them call me. You have to first give them a story. So you start the document, and of course, what really helps is if you have a nice diagram or a drawing, the stuff that we actually did when we were studying architecture as designers, that the real storytelling is in the process of coming up with the design. There is enough imagery out there which is there of the final product. Everybody cares about the process. So it could be that one photograph on site, right, of a brick jali being put up, or it could be of a concrete slab being cast, or it could be even you on site in a funny moment, right? But if it adds value to the narrative of the project, that is what is important. And as designers, our focus should only be in creating those narratives. The tools will help in the visibility and the outreach and in building credibility. That comes secondary. If we have good content, you can't go wrong.
Right, absolutely. So now things have changed. Before, the practice was very different than how it is now. Before, it was like you're doing great work, you're putting your work out there, and then you're expecting the clients to walk into your office. And now things have drastically changed. There's this thin line between practicing and entrepreneurship, and now you have to put yourself out there. Social media, like we talked about, that is just one of the tools. Instagram is one of the tools, but putting yourself out there has become very important to get more, generate more leads, network with people, and convert them into potential clients. So, what is your take about this? How do people do that?
So, like I was saying earlier, I think there are lots of ways to do it. One is keeping social media aside, right? Social media, again, social media also one needs to first look at the different platforms that are available, right? If you have an opinion on something, if you have, an opinion on an issue, right? Then tweet about it. Don't Instagram it. If you have a visual to share, then
Mm,
share it on Instagram,
right.
right? Uh, if you have thought leadership again about an issue or about how your method of working or something, some innovation has happened in your studio or on site, then use LinkedIn. If you're working especially in the domain of, let's say, corporate offices or commercial work or schools or education, then LinkedIn is a good platform for you. So identify what is it that, it's not just that, okay, social media, I've done it and that's it, I have an Instagram account and that's enough. That is not enough. So you need to find out what is it, again, what is your target, right? Who is your target audience? So once you identify who you are, what you do, next is who is your target audience and how do you reach them as a brand. Then the different tools are there. So social media we've discussed. I think print media and online media. Print is questionable in the current context because nobody wants to touch a newspaper. So print media is a bit difficult, but I think it will also come back. Also, I think like you were talking about tier 2, tier 3 cities, there are a lot of local dailies, right? So it is more important to be featured for you from a business perspective in a local daily rather than a magazine that will come once in a month. Because newspapers is what people read, right?
Right.
You want to build a school, somebody who's building a school is maybe not reading an Indian architect and builder.
Mm,
Then maybe the chances are, it's an issue that comes out once every month, but they are reading newspapers every day. They're traveling, they're reading they're reading magazines that are in flight, or they're reading magazines that are available on the stand, or at a railway station, or at a bookshop. That is the media that one needs to target if you want to do PR. So you
mm,
need to approach PR from a more sort of holistic level and not just restrict. I mean, one really needs to be honest about why they want to do PR. Is it just about self gratification? Say, okay, you know what, my work is getting featured. That's great. That is also needed at some point to keep yourself motivated. But a lot of times one needs to really identify what is it, what is the specific target audience that you're looking at, and then target them accordingly. And like I said, it's you you be where your clients are. You
mm,
don't be where your sort of network is. You be where your clients are. And that's what really helps.
right.
I hear from people who say that, our clients don't know. They thought we only do residential. And they were building a school and they gave it to another architect. Obviously, because you never told them that you're doing school work. So how do you let them know that you're doing? So I think a lot of firms also use WhatsApp, but I think WhatsApp is a sort of misused and abused medium. It is so much
Even I feel
nicer
so.
to have a newsletter or a single sort of PDF that goes out from the firm, professionally done. It's not that hard to do. We can design an A4 layout in a day, right? I'm sure you understand that. So make something nice and presentable. Send it out once in a month so that clients your old clients, people who you did work for, they also know that you're still alive, you're still kicking, the studio's running. You did a house for somebody maybe 3 years back. Doesn't mean you lose touch with them because the project is finished. They may not build a house in the next 2 years, but they may build an office.
They may
Their daughter
recommend you
may get
somebody.
married and look to build a house. They need to know. So that networking doesn't need to be only offline. There has to be online networking. Constant recall, constant being in touch. Social media obviously helps that, if you stay in touch with them. But also we shouldn't shy away from being in touch with clients. And the bigger thing is have good relationships with clients you work with. You know, we should be proud as artists, we should be proud of our first projects. We all make mistakes a lot of times and we don't want to go back and look at that project. But it's important because your clients are your biggest sort of, referrals. They will always bring in more work. From a
Absolutely.
business perspective, one needs to just constantly be looking. It's essentially how I always say it's housekeeping. We have this little chart that we made in the studio that for a firm that just wants to manage it themselves, what do they do? As part of OPD, that's what we did. So we created it on a daily basis, what do you need to do, on a weekly basis, what do you need to do, and on a monthly basis. If you tick off that checklist, it's stuff that you can actually manage yourself. You don't even need to outsource it to anyone.
Mm.
As long as you take accountability and be disciplined about it. See, work will not just fall into our lap. We do need to work on it to get work. So that sort of, that format sort of works, I think, for people.
Right. Somebody from the live audience is asking how to build audience if I'm a fresher.
So there are projects that you still have. You need to start talking about those projects. They may be unbuilt or not ready. See, people are looking for ideas. At the end of the day,
They
even
are on
the
social media for
biggest
ideas.
marketers, they can make some of their ideas, right? It's the innovation. So share your ideas. The more you share ideas, the more you network, like I was talking earlier. Let people know that you are working. Let people know that this is what you're good at doing. Help them get your trust, right? And if you're interested in an issue, talk about it. Have an opinion. We shouldn't
Yes.
shy. I mean, older practicing people only don't need to have opinions, right? As young practitioners, we all have opinions. You have an opinion about the built environment. You have an opinion about the signage for metro stations. You have an opinion about how you maneuver yourself in a city, right? What is the public space like? Share those ideas. Maybe reach out to a media like an online platform. Share your ideas with them. Maybe it'll get published. When it gets published, share that with people. Let people know that you're a thinking architect. As long as the hard work and the thoughts and the ideas are there, work will come. There will be an audience to follow you.
Yeah. All right. Okay, thank you so much, Tanya, for so many amazing insights. I hope that everybody had fun in this conversation, as much fun I had in this conversation. And this is something that we really need to start working on aggressively because this is how things are going to be in the future when we start looking at design businesses differently now, as compared to practice, which has been going on for a very long time.
Sorry, I
Your
voice is
your video
cracking a bit.
hanged. Yeah, your video hanged. So I was saying that this is something that we really need to work on aggressively while we are starting to practice.
Yes.
And yes, Rasika, we're going to save this slide. Don't worry.
Okay, okay, great,
Can you?
great.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. All right. Thank you so much,
thank you
Tanya.
so
Thank
much.
you for so many insights. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for joining us here.
Okay,
All
thanks.
right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.